How often is it that a 45-year marriage leads to what it did for Anne Searle? An old couple in Stowmarket, UK, married for over 4 decades, was surely good at portraying a happy, loving marriage up front. But deep inside, who could have thought of betrayals, neglect, and abuse Anne had been enduring by none other than her own husband? Stephen and Anne Searle, a well-known couple in the town of Stowmarket in Suffolk in the UK, had been together for 45 years. Stephen, 64 years old, and Anne, 62 years old, lived in brickfields with their family, including their 3 sons and their sons' wives, along with their adorable grandchildren. Stephen and Anne met in Glasgow back in their teenage years. Stephen was going to enlist in the Royal Marines at the time, where he would serve for 30 years. Not long after Stephen and Anne got married, they gave birth to their son Gary, then later came Christopher, and then Stephen Jr. While serving, Stephen was required to move a lot, so the family continued on roaming to wherever they had to next. They were a happy family with joyful moments that they still cherish to this day. Stephen left the military in the 1990s. He took his family to Stowmarket, where they would settle. There they opened up a pub and a bowling alley. Everything was great. Their business was doing well, and soon their sons started getting married and started having their own families. Stephen and Anne became quite popular in the town because of their businesses. They were loved by all people. Their son Stephen Jr. described his mother as the backbone of the family, and their father as their friend. Both of them loved their children and their grandchildren dearly. Stephen even joined politics and started working as a councillor for the UK Independence Party in the years between 2013 to 2017. According to the people of the town, Stephen was very active in his role, and that made him a high-profile person in the local politics. As good as everything was looking from the outside, reality was quite harsh for Stephen and Anne. The downside of their relationship began when Stephen lost the local election in 2017. Soon after this, word of their relationship problems started spreading through the town. But the truth is that the couple had problems since the 1990s. Stephen had always been very controlling. Just like all couples, they fought. But in no time, their fight started turning violent, from verbal to physical. They were fighting almost every day. Things got so bad that Stephen even started threatening Anne's life. Once in their pub, Stephen pulled a shotgun on Anne's head in front of their customers, and another time, he tried pushing Anne down the stairs. When things escalated so much, the police were called, but nothing was ever done. In addition to all this, the couple was very heavy drinkers, and because of this, when they fought, their fights became louder and more aggressive. Things got even worse when Stephen was caught cheating on Anne by none other than his own daughter-in-law, Anastasia. Anastasia recounted how Stephen had been after her even before she met their son Gary. She revealed how Stephen had stored images of her on his computer and had edited them into graphic scenes. She even told them about the pictures that Stephen sent her of himself. They entered a sexual relationship because Anastasia was scared of what Stephen would do if she continued to reject him. Stephen was highly persistent and compelled Anastasia to be intimate with him despite her protests. After the news of their relationship broke out, Anne was in a very bad situation. However, despite all the mental and physical abuse she had been bearing for so long, Anne did not want to end things with Stephen. She was scared to start over at her age, and so she pushed on and tried her best to make things work. Almost everything was turning into a fight in the house. Not a single day went by, not even Christmas, where things were good between the family members. And on the night of Christmas, Anne posted a picture online with a very disturbing caption. She wished everyone a Merry Christmas, and then below she wrote about the next year's Christmas, saying that she hoped she would be there. Then, on December 30th, 2017, everything changed. Stephen made a call to the police and calmly told them how he had killed his wife. He was disturbingly calm. He had no guilt, nor was he panicked. The police arrived at the scene as soon as the call was placed. Stephen let them in. During the inspection, he told the police that he'd been a naughty boy. The paramedics tried their best to revive Anne, but they had no luck. Anne was pronounced dead. Their son Stephen Jr. was informed by the police, who came directly to his doorstep. They told him about his mother's death and how his father was the one responsible for it. Stephen was taken into custody by the police on January 2nd, 2018. He appeared at the Southeast Suffolk Magistrates Court. According to the postpartum report of Anne, it was revealed that she had died from a compression to the neck. Apparently, Stephen had choked Anne for a very long time. Stephen played the self-defensive trick by telling the police that he did this to stop Anne from hurting him, and that it was not his intention to kill her. He explained how the relationship with Anastasia was brought up that led to a heated argument among the couple, and that Anne picked up a steak knife and attacked him. Stephen was having difficulty fighting Anne, since he was using one arm to detain her and the other to disarm her, and while maintaining this position, he accidentally killed her. The police, of course, didn't buy that story, because after the examination and investigation, they became very well aware of what kind of a person Stephen was. That was also made very clear by the 2-minute 999 call, where he calmly spoke as if nothing had even happened. Furthermore, everything was made worse when it came out that Anne had actually passed away 1 hour before the police were called. And if this all was unintended, then why didn't Stephen call anyone for help? Instead, he left his dead wife there and went out to light a cigarette, claiming he thought that his wife had gone to sleep and that everything was okay. Stephen tried his best playing the defense game. He didn't want to enter a plea of not guilty to murder. Instead, he was hoping for a verdict of manslaughter. A 7-day trial began in July 2018. The prosecution was confident that with all the evidence they had, they could easily convince the judge that this was not self-defense. They placed their arguments by telling how Anne could become unconscious within a few seconds, and how Stephen continued, knowing she wasn't responding. This showed that at the very moment, he was determined to end her life. Then all the obvious facts were brought forward about how Stephen didn't call an ambulance or his son for help. And it was an hour later, after he was sure that Anne had died, that he made the police call. Even in the call, he did not sound panicky or scared at all, but more like he didn't care. The court dismissed Stephen's claims on self-defense, and he was subsequently convicted of murder. Later, he was given a life sentence with a minimum of 14 years to serve. Stephen sat indifferent while the punishment was spoken. In a victim's impact statement, his son Stephen Jr. expressed how the family will never fully heal from the incident. He said how this scene has completely disturbed his life. He began drinking as relief, but it caused problems within his own family, as it affected their relationships physically and emotionally. He also spoke about his relationship with his brothers, and how they had all drifted away from each other, and how this was all something that he or his family will never ever get over. He was devastated over losing his mom, and her death left him sinking alone, completely broken. Stephen's age was taken into consideration by the judge, along with the fact that premeditation could not be shown, and that he was just diagnosed with prostate cancer. The judge stated that the minimum time of 14 years served reflected all of these factors. The judge said how Stephen had brought grief to his family, how he took away a loving mother from their children and a loving grandmother from their grandchildren, and how he had taken away the remaining years of Anne's life from her. He said how Stephen's actions brought pain to the family, and no sentence or punishment could ever relieve that pain. Anne's death was very shocking for her family. They were all torn by the devastating news. Stephen Jr. said that at one moment he had both his parents with him, and then at another moment he stood all alone, with one parent gone so far and out of reach, and the other still there, but not there.